Right, writers. Today we're going to talk about saving your work because I haven't done it in a while. I just realized since I lost my job, which was almost 2 weeks ago, I haven't saved any of the work that I've been working on. So that's a bad thing. That is something that definitely should not be happening. So we're going to talk about saving your work. There is a great line. I think it's in Stephen Pressfield's War of Art. That talks about just his kind of daily rhythm and how he would work on his stuff and how he would save it to a floppy disk and he would bring it and he would stick it in the dash of his truck just so that he had a safe copy of it, that kind of stuff. That is not a bad thing, but there is just kind of like an adage that especially people who work in a medium that is editable should be following if you're doing this stuff. It's great to have kind of like a very minimalist approach in a lot of things in life. It's great to have like everything on your MacBook, and then you're just typing away, and then that's what you do. You just focus on your writing with kind of one point of entry into your stuff, and everything auto saves, and you don't need to worry about it. That's great pie in the sky thinking. You have to add a little bit of doom and gloom and catastrophe planning into your writing stuff, because every writer has then my hard drive crashed story. Every writer has one. I haven't had one yet. I did lose like 5 chapters on a book I was writing once because I didn't save, and then my computer got shut off or something like that, and it didn't auto save. I was using Word, and there's things about that. It's terrifying, but you start off with this idea of a book, and it is quite a long, complicated process to getting a final product, just successive drafts of a very large document, or like successive drafts of a large number of documents that you're going to combine together. There's a lot of points of entry for failure. And so this is best practices. This is what I do. This is not what you have to do. I'm hoping that it just gives you some ideas on how to stay kind of current with yourself. So we're going to try and do this so that it's not horrible. Okay, so first things first. I do most of my fiction writing on Trello. Trello is a free web service. It kind of works like a Kanban board. If you don't know what a Kanban board is, sending you to Google won't help on that stuff. Like, it basically allows you, maybe we should do this. All right, it basically allows you to create these cards. Okay, so I have like a headspace where I organize my thoughts. I get things done. GTD, where I get things done. My evil plans to save the world. This is where just spare ideas go. Everything from like business ideas to like just like product ideas, stuff I might not execute on, but I definitely don't want to lose. My commonplace book, which is where all the books I read and the notes I take out of those books go. And then these, this is information for the videos that I produce, like different description templates, that kind of stuff. And then these are starting to get into the books. So I have the new book I'm working on. It's a young adult book. Title is CFBA, and that stands for something. We're going to get to it eventually. I'll do a big reveal. But there's also other series. I had one called Midnight Clique. I don't think that's going to be the title. And then like the Legends of Pyrock. This is the steampunk book series that I'm working on. These are my book series. Inside these, in Trello, and this is like a cloud-based format, you can make these lists of things, and each one of these is a scene, and each one of those scenes in the description gets written. Everything auto saves. I can access it on my phone, which I can't show you because I'm recording on my phone. I can access it on my phone. I can access it on the go because I can just log into this. It's a very nice way of always having access to the ability to kind of rough draft things. With that in mind, that's not the best thing to do, but it is the thing that I found works for me. The best thing is that kind of single approach where you sit down at a computer, and that's where your writing lives, and you're making backups of the files that you're creating on that computer. What Trello allows me to do, because I'm often out and I have a day job, is it allows me to write on breaks. It allows me to write from work if I have time, like time off or free time, or time allotted to be able to pursue projects like that at work. That's what it allows me to do. So Trello is great when you're having to write in more than one place. When you're writing in just one place, that's the thing that you have to back up. So what happens with these Trello boards is there's a function that allows me to copy the entire board in a text format, and I just save it to a Word document on my computer, and then I save all my writing gets into one file labeled writing, whether nonfiction, fiction, projects, covers, blurbs, anything I'm working on. All that stuff gets saved to the folder writing, and that lands in 3 spots. The first spot, of course, I can't find it right away. Hang on here. We'll find it. Hang on here. Boys, that's concerning. The first spot is a flash drive. The flash drive, and I've lost it. See, this is what happens when you do a thing on saving and you're not paying attention. Stuff like this happens. So the first place is a flash drive. This is actually my old work backup. So I will save the file that's on my laptop, so on this thing, and I will save it to a flash drive. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It's not meant to take up a space. This isn't like my hard drive, which is separate. Like, I keep massive amounts of pictures and all my video archive and stuff like that on a portable hard drive. I'm never going to fill this up with the stuff that I'm planning on doing, and that allows me to kind of keep that off. This is just text files, just what I need to write and publish books. That's it. You know, very kind of low compression. I'm probably never going to fill this, and what I do is I copy this twice. I take the file, which is on my computer, which is labeled writing, and I have a copy on here, and then I have last week's or 10 days or months whenever I remember to do my saving. And you probably should do it weekly. You're saving your document when you're working on it, but you're archiving weekly. I save that weekly, and then I copy it onto the flash disk so that there's 2 copies of writing with a week's time span between the 2 at any given time on this flash drive. This one goes into my office. I usually hide it like on top of a book like that, and you can't really know it's there. I mean, you can kind of see it there. If you do top shelf and you get something with a nice dust jacket, you can't really see it. Like, I mean, you can kind of see it there. That kind of stuff. This is where knickknacks come in handy. I mean, you can hide it under the NaNoWriMo thing. You just want a spot where that's where it lives so that you know it's there. This is the backup. Then if you ever have, heaven forbid, some malicious intent and someone decides to take your laptop and soak it in Jell-O, you know, you have a backup of everything important, and it's not where a backup would be. It's not like sitting on your desk labeled backup. It's a place that is secure and has a bit of effort put into it so that you're making sure it stays secure. It's not just willy-nilly about. It's placed in a specific place so that you can retrieve it where it would not be thought to be, if that makes sense. So this used to live in my office on top of my commentaries, and I would move it around from book to book to book, but I always knew it was on one of my commentaries when I would do my saving, and that gave me that off-site storage that allowed me to just have that, like, in the event that not only did my house have a fire, but I also lost my primary files keeping series, or my on-person file keeping system, that kind of thing. That there's an off-site that is saved within a week. So really, you're losing 5 scenes of a book if you're getting, you know, a scene a day done, that kind of stuff. 5 scenes of a book, that sucks. But it's a lot better than losing like all your old backdrafts, all your old, you know, all your notes for projects, your commonplace archive, all that kind of stuff. It's great to have, and that's what it is. So this lives at work, or this would be what Stephen Pressfield put into his car. I could leave it in my car, but I live in Canada. I mean, that works for most of the months. Definitely doesn't work anything kind of after November till like before April. So this lives off-site for the most part. That's where its intention is. I do have an on-site one. I finally found it here after looking around so much. The on-site one is similar, but it's different color. You don't get matching ones so that you can identify this is my off-site drive. I've left it on my desk on-site. I need to get it off-site so it's safe. This is my on-site drive. This belongs on your person. Everybody really kind of has like a collection of stuff that they go everywhere with. You can call it everyday carry. You can call it your go bag, your purse, all that kind of stuff. I do the fanny pack thing. Somewhere between Joe Rogan and Scott P. Scheffer, I think his name is. I got convinced it just makes the most sense for dudes. I mean, it's not the man purse where you're wearing like a big bag and it's leather and stuff like that. No, this is like a $10, olive drab bag. I usually throw it over my shoulder if we're going out. It has my wallet, my keys, and a multi-tool and a pen, and that's it. Oh, and a highlighter for when I'm reading books, out and about. I have a highlighter ready for it, and I keep my storage in there. I keep it in there so that I always have a copy of my writing with me. Mainly so that if stuff happens when I'm away from both my work and my home, I still have a copy of my stuff that I can kind of back up. It gives me that kind of sense of security. So those two backups give you the most kind of flexibility. The adage, as I've heard it taught, is that when it comes to backups, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And that seems like kind of over reductive, that that seems just like way too much and stuff like that. But stuff happens. I worked as an emergency flood technician for a better part of 10 years. And I can tell you that when stuff happens to your house that you're not prepared for, when there's a major rainfall-induced flood, or your plumbing breaks and you're on vacation, or there's a fire, or that kind of stuff, nothing survives. Nothing survives. There might be stuff that still kind of looks like it is the way, but these things do not survive the heat of a fire, even if they survive not being actually affected by that. They certainly don't survive the kinds of water that get put into houses when you're putting fires out, and they don't survive when your pipe breaks and your basement fills up with water and this is just kind of floating at the top because it's made of plastic. Bad stuff happens, and we work inside a medium that has 1,000, if not 2,000, 3,000 points of entry for failure for what we need, our documents, which can be between 10,000 to several 100,000 words long, just going kaputs because we don't have methods of making sure that those kind of entry points are taken care of. You're going to lose a document at one point. You're going to lose a novel that you spent a lot of time on at one point or another. This is making sure that you have 2 of these aside from your computer, that they're in different places. This is making sure that you have taken every available step at your disposal to make sure that it happens as infrequently as possible. Because without these, if you're just running cloud-based software on one computer and just being cool with what happens, the company that runs the cloud-based stuff, they can go bankrupt. They can lock you out for political reasons. They can decide that, you've expressed opinions online that they disagree with and just lock you out of your stuff because, they don't want you on their platform. That's the kind of stuff. Without physical mediums, and physical mediums are important, you're doing this kind of stuff. You're stuck with the consequences of living in a digital world. And most writers today are digital. There are very good reasons to only write hard copies, and they bring you back to this kind of stuff. If you only wrote hard copies, and this would be crazy, if you only wrote hard copies, like on Foolscap, and you just photocopied them and kept them off-site, that alone has more resiliency than a completely digital thing. Because, a hacker with malicious intent can get a hold of your stuff and just wipe you clean, where you don't even have access to your original manuscripts anymore. I have printed copies of my books, but every other copy of these books can be deleted. That's just like mind-boggling. Like, Amazon can delete the files on their end, I can delete the files on my end, and then there would only be these books. And for people who have grown up in a time of digital medium, that's a very tricky thing to kind of come to terms with, because we don't think of it that way. We think, oh yeah, all my music is on Spotify. That's like, well, no, Spotify lets you listen to their music. That's how that works. They're the ones with the files. All you get to do is use their service to listen to it. When it comes to writing, you want your books to be your property because they're actual things. They're actual property. They're intellectual property. And it should be an actual thing that you have in one form or another that you can use then to, make a product, to market, to sell, to tell people stories. So I highly encourage you to think about how you save and just add one layer of redundancy. Like maybe you're just rocking the MacBook in coffee shops writing romance novels. Add a flash drive. Just add one little flash drive that you can save stuff to that lives somewhere else, that even just lives at home, so that when your MacBook gets stolen, you have a copy of your work. And cloud-based stuff is nice because it gives you the flexibility of being able to write wherever. But it also allows people who gain access to that cloud-based stuff to gain access to your work from wherever. So there's risks to be balanced. I would recommend keeping that as kind of locked down as possible. If I had my way and I had the ability, I would have like a hard desktop computer that I wrote on, a laptop for when I go on trips and stuff like that, but I wouldn't actually save to any of those. I would save to something like this that's separatable from those two things. So I can plug it into my hard drive, or I can plug it into my laptop, and that this would go with me, and that I would have backups wherever I need, that kind of stuff. It seems paranoid, but writers should be paranoid about this stuff. This is literally your living, okay? Like the fact that we have some works of fiction over the history of the world is just mind-boggling. That stuff has survived when you didn't have these kind of things, when you couldn't just copy paste like that, and then have two copies that you could get to different places, so that you would have that kind of security and dissemination of information. So save your work. Save your work on a weekly basis. This needs to become a part of your weekly routine. This needs to be one of the first things that you do every week. I used to do mine on Friday. It's Wednesday now. I'm going to start trying to do it on Monday, so that's a thing. It's like I'm saving my work. I'm going to rejoice in what happened in the last week, and then I'm going to go on and I'm going to make sure that I'm predicting when I'm going to save again. I'm going to keep this stuff separate. So that's my process. I hope it helps you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Love to hear it. Love to interact with you guys. And let me know if you've ever lost a work too, because it's always fun to commiserate. Go get them words